Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Daniel here. So, really quick, gonna be doing a deep dive on how I actually sourced and closed on an 86 unit deal that was no joke, like invisible to 99% of other investors. And this was a super interesting deal. This is like the biggest deal that I have bought to date from a unit size, not the biggest deal from a dollar size. But I'll be walking through this super interesting strategy that I've honestly really never heard anybody else talk about. And it's super cheap to do. I think the overhead to do this is like maybe $200 a month. And all you need is one deal and it covers your overhead for the next 20 years. But pretty much the TLDR of this is it was on the MLS the entire time, but it was categorized wrong. And because of that, nobody searching for multifamily deals was ever able to actually see it. So I was able to find a deal that nobody else was able to find, all just using my overseas VA. And really quick, I'm going to shill for a second. If you ever need overseas talent, No Accent Callers is where my VA company myself. But really quick, let's dive into the mistake, kind of where was the alpha that we found here. So this was an 86 unit deal in Lubbock, Texas. And on the MLS, it was categorized as residential. The property type was written as single family. It was listed by a residential real estate agent. So in the eyes of the consumer, this was only for resi buyers, people who wanted a homestead or maybe some single family fix and flippers. This deal was not marketed to the right individuals. It was not categorized correctly. They did not have the right individual who was working this deal. And all we did was we had our VA identify this and actually shot over an offer, got on a call, and ended up making this deal happen. But essentially, what it should have been listed as is it should have been categorized as commercial, as multifamily, with a commercial broker, and consequently, the right buyer pool should have been looking at this deal, but they were not looking at it. So we had the advantage where we were able to remove like 99% of our competition because only the resi people were looking at it when our competition was really the CRE guys. So why was it invisible? Kind of what happened here. Like I said, this deal was just marked incorrectly in the MLS, and consequently the search results were not getting kind of what they were ultimately looking for. And again, this was just all done incorrectly by the real estate agent. And this is a common practice I see. When a resi agent goes and gets a multifamily deal or maybe an industrial or a retail or a mixed use deal, they don't know what they're looking for. They don't know what they're looking at. They don't know how to underwrite it. And consequently, the mistake that we saw was that they were actually categorizing this thing incorrectly. They did not know the proper way to handle this asset because they've never dealt with multifamily before. And like I said, what was the alpha? So you're able to spot the miscategorization. We were browsing the MLS and we were able to find assets that didn't belong there. We literally have our VA and we have some other scrapers that we have built who are scraping off the MLS and trying to find these inefficiencies. This was an 86 unit that was in the residential section. And yes, that was a mistake, but it was an opportunity for us, and that's what excited us. And the biggest reason is multifamily and just CRE in general has very fierce competition. So because of this, we were able to weave out 99% of our competition because they weren't even able to see it. It was invisible to them. They didn't know this deal existed because it was categorized incorrectly. And I was one of the only few people who was actually at the table when it came to negotiating. So we had to go and move fast, right? Like we have to go and capitalize on this discrepancy as soon as possible. Because we know once institutions are looking at this or bigger shops who are way more well capitalized than myself, I was a 22-year-old college kid, we had to move fast in this thing because they did not know the goal that they were sitting on and they did not know the mistake that they made. And because of this, I didn't have the capital, I didn't have the experience, I didn't know the market. I ended up just partnering with my buddy Morgan on this thing where he was like, Daniel, you sourced the deal, you did all this here. I'll go and give you a piece of the deal because, hey, you're the one who found this thing. Hindsight 2020, now I probably would have closed in this thing myself. I would have raised the capital, probably built a fund for it. But hey, this was a learning experience for me. And yeah, like I said, the deal, it was an 86 unit deal in Lubbock, Texas. Again, it was miscategorized on the MLS, and consequently, I had zero competition. And so for me, all I had to do was I fucking pay my VA a couple bucks an hour. We were able to source this thing, and hey, I went and partnered with someone who was a little bit more seasoned than myself, who was able to actually go and make this deal happen. Turned out to be an amazing deal. I think it was bought at like 40% occupancy. I think it's now at like 93%. It's a lower ticket area, more like affordable housing, rougher tenant base that we're working with, but nonetheless, it was more of an experience thing for me that excited me. And overall, the biggest takeaway is you always need to be chasing that alpha. You need to be finding ways to find deals that other people are not able to see. This is one of the 30 strategies that we use in the CRE space to go and get an edge on our competition, because this deal was hidden in plain sight and our competition was not able to see it. And for me, I want to compete in battles that I know I can win. If I'm competing against a private equity shop who has a $30 million equity fund that they need to go and deploy, I am going to get killed every single time. So I need to find a way to remove the competition. I need to always be chasing alpha. And this specific alpha case was an MLS miscategorization. And because of that, I was able to find gold where nobody else was digging. And that is what I tell everybody who is in the CRE space or competing for assets where it is more fierce competition. You need to be finding alpha. You need to be getting an edge in your competition. And like I said, this is one of the maybe 30 strategies that we are leveraging. So when you find all of these different levers that you can pull and you combine them together into an ecosystem to source off-market commercial real estate deals, that is how you fucking crush. And yeah, hope this was valuable. Again, this is just one of the things that you need to be thinking about. You always want to be diving into new strategies, new ways to go and source deals. But the TLDR, go and capitalize on these residential agents who have no fucking clue what they're doing, and you'll go and find amazing deals like this as well.